So this is for Pre-Calc 11, Chapter 8, Section 2, continuation. So Part B, just word problems. It says here, Canadian cargo plane drops a crate of emergency supplies to aid workers on the ground. The crate drops freely at first before the parachute opens to bring the crate gently to the ground. The crate's height h in meters above the ground t seconds after leaving the aircraft is given by the following two equations. So h is equal to negative 4.9 t squared plus 900 represents the height during free fall. And then instantaneously, this is the formula h is equal to negative 4t plus 500 represents the height of the crate when the parachute opens. It says here, how long after the crate leaves the aircraft does the parachute open? Express your answer to the nearest 100. And so the way we begin this is basically what happens is it's free fall and then all of a sudden it opens up. So what we're going to do is we're going to make those two heights equal. So height is equal to negative 4.9 t squared plus 900. That's in free fall. That's when now the parachute opens. And so what that means is you can make those two equations equal. So negative 4.9 t squared plus 900 is equal to negative 4t plus 500. Right? That's the point in which they equal. That's when the parachute opens. And so rearranging this becomes negative 4.9 t squared plus, you know what, I'm going to make this plus, this becomes, let me just erase that. So just doing a little bit of algebraic manipulation, this becomes negative 4t minus 400 is equal to 0, okay? And so what you notice is this becomes a quadratic equation. There's a couple things you can do. You can use the quadratic formula, or you can just punch it into Desmos. I'm going to use the quadratic formula. I know my A value is positive 4.9. My B value is negative 4. My C value is negative 400. And then if you remember, the quadratic formula is x is equal to negative b plus or minus, and then the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Oops, what am I doing? Negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, I'm not going to bother showing you the work, but it works out to x is equal to 4 plus or minus square root of 7856 all over 9.8. Now you're going to find two answers. The two answers are negative 0.45 and negative 8.64. Now this one here is extraneous, right? Because you can't have a negative time, right? So basically the time in which the parachute opens is 9.45 seconds. Now the question says, what height above the ground is the crate when the parachute opens? Okay, so now we know what the time is. So the question is, what's the height? So part B, the height would then be any one of those two equations. I'm just going to pick the easier one. Negative 4, 9.45 seconds plus 500. And again, I won't show you the work. This works out to negative 37.8 plus 500. And that gives you a height of roughly 462.2. And again, don't forget your units. Okay? Verify your solution. I'm going to save you the suspense. You're supposed to plug this in back into the original equations just to double check. Alright? So in order to save a little bit of time, we're just going to move forward. Alright. It says here, a certain website offers online interactive puzzles, but the puzzle makers present the following problem for entry to the site. Determine two integers such that the sum of the smaller number and twice the larger number is 46. Also, when the square of the smaller number is decreased by 3 times the larger, the result is 93. By determining the smaller and larger numbers, use it as a password to gain this set. Okay, so normally what happens is, anytime I have these types of word problems, I always highlight the things that are important. So I need 2 integers, and first of all, the 2 integers is the sum. Now, the smaller number and twice the larger number, the word is means means equals. Okay, so that's the first equation. So let's start with that. I know that I have 2 numbers, x and y. All right. So the sum of the smaller numbers. So that's going to be x plus, right? I'll do a let statement, right? Let x equal the smaller number, and y is equal to the other number. So x is the smaller number, twice the larger number, so that's 2y is equal to 46. So that's equation number 1. Now, equation number 2 says when the square of the smaller number, okay, well, the square of the smaller number, that's x squared, is decreased by 3 times the larger number. Okay, what does decreased mean? Well, I'm going to again highlight, I'm going to highlight the word square and decreased, and then 3 times the larger number. The result, that means equals, is 93. And so x squared minus 3 times the larger number is equal to 93. So you have a linear equation, you have a quadratic equation, and what you want to do is you want to be able to find out what x and y are. So one of the strategies you've learned in the previous section is substitution, the other one is elimination. Pick whichever strategy you like. Alright, I'm going to pick elimination. So I'm going to try to eliminate the y values. Okay, you can't eliminate the x because obviously this is x to the power of 1 and this is x to the power of 2, so you can't do that. So elimination to the y's will work. So I'm going to multiply this by 3 and then this by 2. And what equations do I get? I get 3x plus 6y is equal to 138. And then I have 2x squared minus 6y is equal to 186. And then I'm just going to add them together. So now I get 2x squared plus 3x. And notice that the 6y's will cancel each other out. Is equal to 324. Now, you can move everybody over to one side. You get 2x squared plus 3x minus 324 is equal to 0. Now, as it turns out, again, I'm going to save you some time. You could use the quadratic formula. You can use Desmos. You can use graphing, right, for Desmos. This one you can actually factor. So again, I won't show you how the factoring takes place, but it turns out you can factor these 2 factors. And it turns out it is x minus 12 is one factor, and then 2x plus 27. Now, what are the values of x? What are the possible roots? Well, x is equal to 12 or negative 13.5. Now, what's going to happen is it's like 12 or negative 13.5. But here's the key. The key says that it has to be integers. That has to be integers. Well, is 13.5, sorry, negative 13.5, is that an integer? No. So that is called an extraneous root. There is no such thing as 13.5. Decimals are not integers. Okay? So now that we have x equals 12, you can substitute x equals 12 into any one of the 2 equations. I'm going to substitute into this one. So this becomes 12 plus 2y is equal to 46. 2y is equal to 34. And y is equal to 17. So there are your 2 answers. X equals 12 and y equals 17. Hopefully that makes sense. Alright, last question. It says here, Mike hits a baseball and travels on a path modeled by this parabola. John is in the outfield directly in line with the path of the ball. He runs towards the ball and he tries to catch it. His jump is modeled by the equation, all right, this parabola. In both equations, x is the horizontal distance. So I'm going to underline this because that's kind of important. And it's the horizontal distance away from home plate, and h is the height above. Sorry, h is the height of the ball above the ground. So h is the height. Can you solve the system algebraically? Round your answers to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so solve algebraically. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the two h's equal. So this is going to be h is equal to negative 0.1 x squared plus 2x. And then the other h is negative x squared plus 39x minus 378. All right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to make these two things equal. So now I have what looks like negative 0.1 x squared plus 2x is equal to negative x squared plus 39x minus 378. All right, I'm going to move everybody over to one side, and again, I'll spare you the details, but this is what it works out to: 0.9x squared minus 37x plus 378 is equal to 0. This time what I'm going to do is, instead of using the quadratic formula, I'm going to quickly punch this in. 0.9 minus 37x plus 378. Okay, so I'm going to go to Desmos, and I'm going to show you how quickly we can solve this. So this is going to be y equals 0.9x, and then we need to put the keyboard of x squared minus 37x plus 378. Now notice that it's hard to see where the graph is, but here is the parabola, and here are my solutions. So it's going to be 18.89, 18.97 I should say, 18.97 and 22.15. So I use Desmos, and then I've got x is equal to 18.97 and 22.15. Now x values represent, of course, the distance away from the home plate, so these are going to be in meters. So I'm going to put a box around that. Now, it says here, explain the meaning of the point of intersection. What assumptions are you making? So basically what's happening is the ball is traveling, right? Here's the person who hit the ball, and then here is the player on the field trying to jump up and catch the ball in mid-flight. All right? And so the point of intersection is basically, here's the parabola and here's the person jumping up, and basically they're going to, well, the ball and the person jumping up in the air is going to meet, right? And it says here, the point of intersection is where the ball is caught. So part B, this is where, sorry, my handwriting's bad. This is where the player catches the ball. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is, now that we have these two values, I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to find out the height. Okay, so I'm going to plug in h is equal to negative 0.1. I'm going to plug in 22.15 squared plus 2 times 22.15. I'm going to spare you the suspense. You get a height of what looks like negative 49.06 plus 44.3. Oh, what ends up happening is you get a height of negative 4.76. meters. Can you catch the ball in a negative height? That means where the ball actually intersects, it intersects two places. So that means the ball hits and is hit in the air. The person catches the ball at this location. He comes back down. But the ball actually continues, if you want to imagine there was no ground, it actually continues and crosses at the second location. So this particular point is what's called the extraneous root. That one doesn't work. We're going to try the height of the other possible solution. So it's negative 0.1, 18.97. 18.97, and then plus 2 times 18.97. If you do the work in our calculator, it gives you a height of 1.95 meters. So that means this particular point is 1.95 meters, which makes sense. That means the person's jumped up in the air and caught it. Okay, so that concludes Pre-Calc 11, Chapter 8, Section 2, Word Problems.